Compost collection beginning in October. Some parents might be hoping to drop their poopy diapers into bins like these ones, like they do in other jurisdictions, but that's not being allowed here.
A lot of the municipalities that actually accept those dirty diapers in the organics program, they're not actually composting them. And so they're actually putting them, it's just going into the public drop-off. It's going into the waste, right into the landfill. And that actually comes at a even costlier number. It's more money because now you have to have someone actually sorting through.
But if accepted, a recommendation coming before council could help alleviate the potential stink. Waiving fees at the public garbage drop-off facility to allow people to throw the diapers out, or a diaper pickup program.
Week one, the garbage person will come and pick up your garbage with the big truck, and then say week two, someone will go by with a pickup truck, pick up those dirty diapers only from those homes that have registered for that list.
The pickup service would cost taxpayers around $95,000 per year. But according to the city's report on the matter, other municipalities that have adopted such a program saw a significant decline in use after residents' habits changed to suit the biweekly collection schedule. This mother says that she mostly uses cloth diapers with her child and likes the idea of a pickup, but as far as the drop-off, she's not so sure that would work.
I think that'll be really inconvenient for families with little ones, especially babies, or that have more than one kiddo, because we don't have time.
Councillor Mark McKenzie is hoping council will get to decide on whether to go ahead with the program at the next council meeting. He'd like to see it in place before the city's organics program begins on October 21st. If greenlit, McKenzie says the diaper program would run through the end of 2026, at which point the city would look at whether or not to continue it. Jacob Barker, CBC News, Windsor.
The trial of a Michigan man accused of murdering his estranged wife in Windsor continues this week. CBC's Dalton Chen has the latest.
Blood on a towel that was recovered from the dumpster of a hotel on Huron Church Road likely belonged to a dead woman who is at the center of a Windsor murder trial. That was the evidence the jury heard on Monday in the first-degree murder trial of Brian Marbury, the estranged husband of Zara Boulay. The towel was found in a garbage bag in the rear parking lot of Hampton Inn and Suites, along with pieces of a broken cell phone case believed to belong to Boulay. The court heard today from a forensic biologist who used a sample from the towel to build a DNA profile. Boulay's DNA is not on record, but the Crown said Boulay's mother, Fartuma Kusau, provided a sample of her own DNA for comparison. The court heard that the person whose blood is on the towel is 41 times more likely to be related to Kusau than a random member of the public. Boulay's body was found on June 6, 2023 in a woodlot just a few hundred meters from the Bestway Motel. That's where she was with Marbury a week prior. Marbury is facing a charge of first-degree murder. He's pleaded guilty to causing an indignity to a human body, but not guilty to the murder charge. Jurors heard from the border officer who stopped Marbury at the Windsor-Detroit Tunnel on June 5, 2023, and police officers who processed him after he was arrested. The Crown is calling one more witness to the stand on Wednesday. Then the defense will begin their case. Dalton Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
Joining us now for a live look at weather is Colette Kennedy. Colette, we've had a nice weekend. I think we got a nice week coming up.
We do. I mean, we're really being treated to some phenomenal fall weather, especially as we're almost into the month of October. So high pressure is giving us the sunshine, clear skies at night, other than when we get a little bit of patchy fog. This cloud cover you see getting close is actually associated with some of the activity in the tropics, and we'll take a closer look at that a little bit later in the show. But I do want to show you tonight that low down to 12 degrees, so still in double digits. Sunshine tomorrow and up to 26, Chris.
All right, check in soon, Colette. A large-scale work of art that calls attention to residential schools is on display at the city's Chimchuk Museum. It's called the Witness Blanket. The wooden structure weaves together items reclaimed from residential schools and survivors. The original is installed at the Canadian Museum for Human Rights in Winnipeg, but two replicas were made of the item so it could be shown in other locations. One of those currently on loan to Windsor. The artist behind the original piece says that he collected things like photographs, documents, braids of hair, all manner of things that were connected to residential school history.
And then it was my task to figure out how to fit them together into a blanket. And I did so by modifying, by changing the shapes of, by using parts of things and not parts of other things. And what resulted is a 40-foot wide, 10.5-foot tall blanket, and I'll say that with quotations because the blanket is constructed out of cedar, and then all of these objects are mounted onto the cedar panels. It is a tapestry of sorts, but the reason that I decided to make it a blanket is because of the connection that so many people from so many different cultures, but from First Nations cultures in particular, in this case, have to blankets. We wrap our babies in them when they're born. We shroud our loved ones in them when they move on to the spirit world. And where I'm from, we use them to display our identity. We have button blankets. We wrap people in them when we want to uplift or honor them. So I really wanted to use the blanket when I was conceptualizing this because I wanted to make this something that could uplift and honor survivors.
The witness blanket arrived at the Chimchuk Museum in June. Tomorrow will be the last day to see it, but the museum will be free to all visitors to mark the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. Some changes are coming at WestJet. The airline's modifying the layout in some of its planes, including removing what some consider a comfort, others an irritant, the ability to recline your seat. Carolyn Bargot now on how air travelers are receiving the change.
You pay extra to check your bags and pick your seat. But soon, on many WestJet flights, the ability to lean back won't come standard either.
Everything's about the dollar and everything is costly.
The airline says in an effort to offer affordable airfare, it's revamping 43 of its planes, introducing a new seat configuration. Many seats will no longer be able to recline, and there will be different amounts of space for different passengers. Those at the very back will get the least amount. In the middle, there's a little more, and for those in the front part, more yet. But to get more legroom and a reclining seat, travelers will have to choose WestJet's newly created extended comfort seating or go premium. At Vancouver's International Airport, passengers are split on the plan. This exchange student traveled from France to Vancouver and likes the idea of not having someone reclining into her personal space.
On the first plane, it was a huge man in front of me who was lying on me.
Well, I think any time you can improve your comfort on any airplane, it's really well worthwhile.
But others disagree.
I don't really think it's fair. The amount of money we pay for air flights right now, too, as well, is just kind of atrocious.
One passenger rights advocate says making tall passengers pay extra to get a seat that they will fit into amounts to discrimination.
Comfort is a choice. Accommodating your physical size is part of transporting a passenger. So the problem that I'm seeing here is that WestJet may not be providing necessary space for an average passenger.
He fears passengers who don't know their rights may just go along with it.
WestJet says anyone who requires additional considerations should call them when they book to make sure they're accommodated before arriving at the airport. Caroline Bargut, CBC News, Vancouver.
COVID vaccines are rolling out across Canada, but this year the provinces aren't all on the same page. Quebec and Alberta are charging for the shots. Christine Biac breaks down the cost and the risk of skipping it.
Made in Canada. For the first time, Moderna's COVID-19 shots and others are now rolling out. The question is, do you need one?
COVID-19 is not a thing of the past. It is an ongoing problem with ebbs and flows, but right now we're on the uptick.
Canada's independent vaccine panel recommends COVID shots for higher risk groups, including anyone over 65, pregnant, those over 6 months with underlying medical conditions, living in long-term care, or in underserved communities. Data shows updated COVID-19 vaccines offered up to 76% protection against hospitalization for up to 2 months.
You actually will get a fourfold increase in the antibody levels compared to if you didn't get this vaccine.
For most Canadians, COVID vaccines will be free, except in Alberta and Quebec, which plan to charge residents up to $180. Some pharmacists say offering free flu and COVID shots was a logical way to protect people.
Santé Québec has been talking about is let's go preventative, 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 which I think is laudable. And yet now we're going backwards with COVID.
While Quebec still plans to cover all high-risk groups, Alberta says not everyone over 65 will be covered, and shots won't be offered in pharmacies, citing waste and cost.
It's just looking at that cost of the vaccine itself, but ignoring those long-term costs.
The average cost estimate of a COVID-19 hospital stay per patient is over $24,000. COVID ICU admissions run more than double that. These older adults in Edmonton want the vaccine.
I will go to Saskatchewan to visit family or BC to visit friends, and I will get the shot there.
A simple step to help stay out of hospital and on the court. Christine Birak, CBC News, Toronto.
We talk a lot about training the next generation of skilled workers. Mike Banks is one of the people trying to help. After 3 decades working as a mold maker, he's now a tech teacher at Catholic Central. The teacher talked us through his pivot recently on Windsor Morning.
First year I had two sections of manufacturing. It doubled the following year to 4, and this year we're at full capacity. So it's been a great process.
We hear about all the time, people are aging out of industries, that the next generation has to start learning how to do what the generation before has done. Did you notice that when you were making this shift?
Yeah, when I was back in industry, one of the things we used to talk about was that we had no youth coming into the program anymore, and we always said, who's going to replace us? Because we're all getting up in age, and we don't have that influx of youth like we used to get. And I think the big part of that is that a lot of this youth today don't understand what manufacturing really is. They don't have the exposure to it. So that was kind of the biggest challenge we saw in industry.
What would you say manufacturing is today? What would you say to somebody who might not know it as well as they think?
I mean, it's a very high-tech industry, especially here locally in Windsor. It's a high-tech industry with a lot of opportunities, a lot of different career paths within that industry that can take you in a lot of different places if you really want to pursue it.
Do you find that some of the students that you get, their mind starts to go towards career paths that are like you talk about project management, like that doesn't necessarily tie up with, okay, I want to be doing this myself, but that's another way to get your brain thinking about a career that you could do?
Yeah, I try to tell my students, like, you're not, if you go into manufacturing, you're not locked into one path. I mean, that you can branch off into different areas. It's not something that's, you might start as a toolmaker one day and you might end up as a project manager or designer or a CNC operator or even an estimator.
You can listen to more of our conversation by searching Windsor Morning on the CBC Listen app, and you can jump on a bandwagon with the push to the World Series starting this week. The Detroit Tigers ended their collapse in time just to sneak into the playoffs.
Turn trip, swinging a ground ball, third base. Ibanez charges, gloves to first, ball game!
That's the moment that the Tigers secured a spot into the playoff bracket. They start a 3-game series against the Cleveland Guardians tomorrow afternoon. The Toronto Blue Jays also in the playoffs. Both teams could square off in the American League Finals, unleashing some complicated feelings for some fans, I'm sure, but a lot of baseball that can happen before that there. Take a live look outside at the Gordie Howe Bridge. Pretty beautiful. When you drive into town, you see that thing lit up. Some shots that we've seen online showing it off, certainly changing the skyline at night. If you have any photos you want us to see, send us a picture. Windsor@cbc.ca. We are going to check in with Colette for more of that summer-like fall forecast later in the show. Premier Doug Ford is known for making quite a few off-the-cuff remarks. He weighs in on all kinds of issues, including the justice system. But lawyers say sometimes he may be crossing a line, wading into criminal cases that are still before the courts. And as Sarah McMillan tells us, they say that habit comes with some serious risks.
So here's my little crime rant of the day. We need to start throwing these people in jail. They're brazen bunch of crooks. Something is broken.
It's no secret Doug Ford has many thoughts on the justice system. He talks a lot about bail reform, but we've also noticed he sometimes weighs in on specific criminal cases that are still before the courts. It got us wondering, is it a problem if politicians chime in, or is it fair game that comes with the territory of being a public figure?
I think, freedom of expression is there. To a certain extent.
It's not a great look. It disrespects the presumption of innocence.
The exact answer depends on who you ask, but I've spoken with several lawyers who say weighing in comes with risks, including politicizing the judicial process and contributing to public misinformation. Let's take a look at a few recent examples. In August, a case in Lindsay, Ontario made headlines when local police announced that a resident was facing charges after allegedly assaulting a home invader.
Once I'm on a roll now, did everyone hear about the story in Lindsay?
Unprompted by reporters, Ford decided to weigh in.
You should be able to protect your family when someone's going in there to harm your family and your kids. You should use all resources you possibly can to protect your family.
Even there, you have the premier challenging a police decision to lay a charge, and then suggesting that the court proceedings or implying they should not occur. None of us are privy to the facts of what happened that night.
This wasn't an accident.
In early September, Ford spoke about a tragic collision that killed an Ontario father. Police say the accused in this case is the same person who was charged after hitting an OPP vehicle the premier was traveling in back in January. In the case of the fatal collision, he's facing several charges, including dangerous driving causing death. The premier called the incident,
It was a murder. It's inflammatory to the case, it prejudges the case, and it's inaccurate.
Murder is not the same as manslaughter or a driving offense or what have you. So first, there's just the basic truth of what they're charged with.
And it's not the first time Ford's comments have appeared to prejudge a case. Back in 2021, he was one of several public officials who voiced unhappiness when Umar Zamir was released on bail. Zamir was facing first-degree murder charges, but ended up being found not guilty.
Look, the position of premier or prime minister, it's a powerful position, and with that comes a lot of responsibility. And the Zamir case is an example where I think it was quite embarrassing for Premier Ford.
But why does this all matter? After all, Zamir got a fair trial where the evidence was examined, and he's now a free man. And that's how it should be. Comments from public officials should have no bearing on the outcome of a criminal case.
One of the cornerstones of our judicial officers is impartiality. So despite public opinion or opinions from those that have a bigger voice, judges ought not to be tainted by that.
But Jennifer Rook and the other lawyers I spoke with say in a jury trial, there is, in theory, the potential for a jury pool to be affected if political comments have received widespread attention. And in fact, there have been cases where comments from politicians have nearly derailed court cases in the past.
Claude Vermette.
In the 80s in Quebec, a new trial was ordered in a high-profile case, and the charges were nearly stayed. Here in Ontario in the 90s, a judge cautioned the Attorney General, advising him not to comment on potential guilt. Those cases may be more extreme examples, but at the end of the day, some lawyers argue politicians should also be cautious in the interest of public trust.
It causes people to have doubts, the general public in the justice system. We have to remember that in Canada, we have an enviable justice system, one of the most fair, respected justice systems in the world. It's a model for other jurisdictions.
I should note there are often times when the Premier does decline to comment because of cases being before the courts. His approach just isn't consistent. I reached out to his office for comment for this story. They didn't respond. Sarah McMillan, CBC News, Toronto.
Stick around, we will be right back with Colette Kennedy's full forecast.
full.
Welcome back, Colette here for a look at this full forecast. What a weekend it was. Sunscreen, shorts, my gosh, buddy, I tell you.
I know. I mean, this is fall, and now we're going into October fall. And okay, we'll have a few little dips in the temperature where it cools down a tiny bit, a little closer to seasonal midweek, but then things are going to warm back up again. So this is the pattern we are in for now. Okay, so we can enjoy it. Current temperature still holding at 25 in Windsor, London at 25. Nation's capital was 27 today, and Pembroke almost up to 28, the hot spot in Ontario, but I was comparing that to the hot spot in Canada. And of course, Alberta, southern Alberta, Medicine Hat in the low 30s today. So there's some incredible warmth. What we don't have is much humidity here. So this air mass that's in place is a little bit drier, and so it's a very comfortable, more of a fall-like feel to it, even if the temperatures are quite a bit milder than they should be at this time of year, kind of running around 5 to at times 7 degrees above seasonal. With that high pressure, we do get the clear skies through the overnight. Now tonight there could be a little bit of patchy fog development. We've had that from time to time in this weather pattern. Also, are you noticing here some high thin clouds? These making their way all the way almost there to the lower Great Lakes, kind of trying to push in that direction, having to do with the very active, what was quiet and now very active tropical waters here as we take a look down into the Atlantic Basin, where we have not only one but two systems. So this is Hurricane Humberto, which is a Category 4, a very strong storm there, expected to go to the west of, this is Bermuda, and then push back to the northeast. Then we have what is Tropical Storm Imelda, expected to become a hurricane by tomorrow. Yes, it will eventually take a hard turn moving towards the east-northeast, which is a good thing for the eastern seaboard of the U.S. Not such a great thing here because there's Bermuda, which could be looking at a Category 1 direct hit there. So it's within that cone, and we'll kind of see what happens and be following that very carefully. Overnight tonight, a look at these readings, look at these overnight temperatures, double digits. That's what we're still talking about. Now that does change, or at least we get closer to the single digits, and we'll certainly have some in southwestern Ontario as we move through the week. But after a little dip in those temperatures, Chris, would you believe 27, then 29?
Wow.
Next weekend?
It's nice. That crispness, though, you mentioned it, the humidity not being there, that's what it is. Thanks for explaining that away there for us, Colette. And that is it for us at CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, go to cbc.ca/Windsor.